Now, welcome to Emqba News, the story of. In this video, we are going to collect all the facts and all the background information so that together we can piece a biography, that is early childhood, education, marriage, family, net worth, how miraculously she became the queen because she was not directly in the line, the cause of her death, and finally come up with the story of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Welcome to Emqba News. Don't forget to like and to subscribe. Now at exactly 2:40 GMT on 21st April 1926, the queen was born during the reign of her paternal grandfather, King George V, to her father, Duke of York, later King George VI, the second son of the then king, and her mother, the Duchess of York, later Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. Her mother was the youngest daughter of Scottish aristocrat, and she delivered the queen by cesarean section. On 29th May, the baby was baptized by the Anglican Archbishop of York in the private chapel at Buckingham Palace. She was named Elizabeth Alexandra Mary, where Elizabeth was after her mother, Alexandra after her paternal great-grandmother who had died 6 months before she was born, and Mary after her paternal grandmother. The queen was cherished by her grandfather George V, whom she usually called Grandpa England. This was out of the love she also had for her grandfather, the then king. Queen Elizabeth had only one sibling, a sister, Princess Margaret, who was born in 1930. The two were educated at home under the supervision of their mother and their governess Marion. Their lectures concentrated on history, language, literature, and music. At her early age, she loved horses and dogs. She was orderly and responsible, according to the governess Marion. Mr. Churchill also described her when she was 2 years as a character, an air of authority and reflectiveness astonishing in an infant, while her direct cousin Margaret Rhodes described her as a jolly little girl, but fundamentally sensible and well behaved. Now, interestingly, Queen Elizabeth and his father were not directly in line of the succession to the royal ruling, but a miracle happened. During his grandfather's reign, Elizabeth was third in the line of succession to the British throne behind her uncle Edward and her father. When her grandfather died in 1936, her uncle King Edward VIII succeeded him on the 20th January 1936, but later on that year, Edward was abducted following his proposed marriage to Mary Wally Sampson, an American socialite who was divorced from her first husband and was pursuing the divorce of her second husband for her to be married by the then king for the third time. This brought about a constitutional crisis in the British Empire, leading to the abdication, so automatically the second son of King George V, Queen Elizabeth's father, became king, taking the name George VI, and now Elizabeth became the second in line since she had no brothers. If her parents had a son, he would comfortably heir apparent and above her in the line of succession, which was determined by male preference firstborn at that time. The Queen received her private tuition in constitutional history from Eton College and learned French from some native speakers. A Girl Guide company was later on opened specifically for her to be able to socialize with her age mates, and later on she was enrolled as a sea ranger. In 1934, Elizabeth met his future husband Prince Philip, 1937 for the second time, and 1939 for the third time. She was only 13 years old, but she said she fell in love with him. They began to exchange letters, and when she was 21, their engagement was announced. That is 9th July 1947. The engagement had some challenges due to Philip's financial standing. According to Marion's book, King's advisors said he was a prince without a home or kingdom. The second challenge, he was foreign-born, and that his sisters had married German noblemen with Nazi links. But before marriage, Philip renounced his Greek and Danish title and converted from Greek Orthodoxy to Anglicanism, taking surname of his mother's British family, and he was granted the style His Royal Highness. Elizabeth and Philip married on 20th November 1947, receiving 2,500 gifts from around the world. Philip's sisters were not invited to that wedding because Britain had not yet completely recovered from the devastation of the World War. King Edward VIII was also not invited. On 14th November 1948, Princess Elizabeth gave birth to her first child, Prince Charles, the now King Charles III. 1 month before his birth, King had issued letters patent allowing her children to use the style and title of Royal Prince or Princess. Otherwise, they would not have entitled to use the title as their father was no longer a royal prince. 15th August 1950, Princess Elizabeth gave birth to her second child, Princess Anne. Queen Elizabeth's marriage with Philip lasted for 73 years until his death in April 2021. They had 4 children: Prince Charles, the now King Charles III, Princess Anne, Prince Andrew, and Prince Edward. When her father died in February 1952, Elizabeth was only 25 years old, and she became the Queen of the United Kingdom and regnant of 7 independent Commonwealth countries: the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka, as well as the head of the Commonwealth. Among her significant events, including Elizabeth's coronation in 1953 and the celebrations of the silver, golden, diamond, and platinum jubilees in 1977, 2002, 2012, and 2022, respectively. According to Times Rich List 2020, she was number 372 richest in the United Kingdom, with an estimated wealth of 350 million euros. The Royal Collection, which includes thousands of historic works of art and the crown jewels, is said not to be owned personally by the Queen, but was described as being held in trust by the Queen for her successors and the nation. On 8 September 2022, in the evening, Buckingham Palace reported her death. She was the Queen of the United Kingdom from 6 February 1952 till her death, having reigned for 70 years, 214 days. This was the longest of any British monarch and the second longest recorded on any monarch of a sovereign country after King Louis XIV of France, who reigned for 72 years, 110 days. I mean, from 1643 until 1715. 1 year, 261 days ahead of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Remember to like and to subscribe. Thank you.